Hey there, my name is Lexi, and thank you so much for joining me for another video. In this particular video, I'm going to be talking to you about how to sing into a microphone. Now, whether you're a new singer or a seasoned artist, I believe this video is going to be very beneficial for you, as well as if you are an engineer and you might want some tips or tricks on how to direct your artist on how to sing into a microphone to ensure that great sound quality, right? So, before we even get into how to stand or how to adjust the mic stand and all of that, I want to let you in on some basic signal flow. You, the artist, you're going to be standing in the booth singing into a microphone. That microphone is either going directly into Pro Tools through an interface, or it's going from the microphone to a preamp and into Pro Tools, where your engineer is controlling the level of signal coming into Pro Tools. So the two factors that are going to determine the quality of your recording, it's going to be how much signal is being let into Pro Tools or the lack thereof. And that's going to depend on your engineer making sure that the right amount of signal is coming through. And B, it's going to depend on your understanding of the relationship between the volume or intensity of your voice and the distance that you're standing, either really close to the mic or far away from the mic. So to understand how your engineer controls the quality of your recording and how to find that sweet spot of how much signal to let in, go ahead and check out my other video, How to Read a Meter in Pro Tools, and that explains the different levels that you can read on your meter Pro Tools, which is telling you whether your signal is too weak, if it's too strong, or if it's just in that right sweet spot. So go ahead and check that out and then come back to this video. But if you've already seen it or you understand how to read a meter in Pro Tools and how to get that right signal in, let's go ahead and get started. Before you start recording, you want to make sure the microphone is adjusted to a height that is comfortable for you and allows good airflow for your best performance. This will depend on whether you want to sit or stand and how tall you are. The ideal place for the microphone to be is just slightly above your mouth, so you'll be looking slightly up and singing into the diaphragm of the mic, which is where the signal is picked up. If you like to sing down, that's your preference. I recommend singing up because then your airway isn't bent over, which could cause you to run out of breath quicker or may cause breaks in your voice because air is having to travel through a restricted passage. Think of the way a straw works. If it's bent, getting something to drink is more difficult, but if it's straight up, you have an easy flow. Your throat works the same way. The next consideration you want to have is how closely you're singing into the microphone. Generally speaking, most people can stand with their mouth 3 to 4 inches away from the diaphragm of the microphone or from the pop filter, and that's a good distance. When you're actually singing or rapping or speaking into the microphone, keep in mind the distance away from the microphone as well as controlling the volume and intensity of your voice. You have to be aware of how to manipulate your voice and understand the relationship between your volume and your distance from the microphone. Let's say you're a fairly soft singer, rapper, or speaker. Well, your voice is at a low intensity, and on parts of your song when you may speak more softly, you can move into the microphone a bit closer. I've found this to be especially true of singing in a falsetto. My voice is more breathy and airy, and because the note I'm hitting isn't really harsh or really loud or intense in my falsetto, I'm moving closer to make sure the microphone is picking up that detail. When you're singing, rapping, or speaking in your normal tone, the average tone that's going to be used throughout the song, that's when that 3 to 4 inch rule comes into play. If you've watched my other video, How to Read a Meter in Pro Tools, I talk about a sweet spot to set for the gain of the microphone. Your normal tone is what you want to base that sweet spot off of. It's a nice strong signal but doesn't peak or distort. It's the tone or intensity you should be most comfortable singing, rapping, or speaking in. When it comes to recording in your loudest tone, maybe you're hitting a high note or maybe you have to yell on the track, you're gonna have to play with how far away you can be from the microphone without your recording sounding like you're too far away and without distorting, obviously. When I'm hitting my high notes, I generally take one big step back, which is about 2 feet from the microphone, and that will usually work just fine for me. Again, you and your engineer are gonna have to play with the distance and the gain to get a good quality sound. To further illustrate the importance of understanding the relationship between your vocal volume and intensity and your distance from the microphone, take the following example. You can stand the same distance from the microphone singing in different tones, but the intensity and volume of your voice is what will cause the signal to be low and hard to pick up, or so high that it gets distorted. And there you have it. That is how you sing into the microphone to make sure that you're getting the best possible sound and quality recording anytime you come to the studio. So always remember, it's not about where you're recording, it's about how you're recording that's going to affect the final mix. So always make sure you're doing it right the first time, and the end product is going to turn out to be amazing. But as always, I hope you learned something new today or got better insight into how it is being in a studio and how to record in a studio. So as always, if you have any questions, please leave me some comments in the comment section below, or you can email me directly at info@lexiatl.com with any questions about this video or questions on other topics, as well as any requests for videos that you would like to see in the future. But as always, until next time, peace. Meter. You see how I'm talking into this microphone, and you can see how much level I have, or if I speak really low, it goes into the green. If I'm speaking somewhat loud, it goes into yellow. If I'm talking too loud, it's going into red. So I'm going to explain to you all of that. When a signal is really high,